Hello YouTube. Well, I've been able to spend a couple of hours here and there during the last week in the barn here working on my WD45 and its assorted parts. I've got my rims cleaned up and painted. They turned out pretty decent. Got my wheels cleaned up and painted. These I just painted last night, so I want to let the paint get good and hard, so I'm not going to touch these for a while. And the reason I've sort of gotten enthusiastic about getting these wheels done is because I've got new tires. I went ahead and got my new tires for this thing. I ordered them off the interwebs. I ended up going with 13.6 28s. If I had been able to salvage the 12-inch wide rims that were originally on this tractor, I probably would have went with 14.9s. But because I've got the 10-inch rims, I went with the 13.6s. They'll be fine. The other WD45 that I had around here for a long time that I used every day to spread manure with for about 20 or 25 years. That tractor had 13.6s on it and it worked just fine. I still have to finish off my clamps here. If you're not familiar with these, on this Allis Chalmers, the clamp bolts onto the wheel there and it has this little eccentric that goes through it. Of course, these, having not been moved for decades, were really stuck. I had to heat every one of them with a torch to get them loose and get them out. And you can kind of see the little eccentric there. What this does, there's a this little shoe that sits on top of that there, and you turn this about, maybe 2/3 of a turn to when they're unlocked, and then you turn it and it pushes the shoe up and puts pressure against the rail on the wheel there and locks them in place. And then of course there's the one rail has a hole in it for the regular locks. But that's how these work. There's a little wire snap ring on the end of it that holds them in place. So I think I'm going to dab a little bit of grease in this thing, reassemble them, and put a little paint on these things. Then I might see if I can get my tires mounted on these wheels without injuring myself. So we'll see how that goes this morning. I've got my new tires mounted on the rims without too much grief. And I've got the first coat of orange paint on my clamps. So that's probably about all I'm going to get done here this morning. I might swing back in this afternoon and put the second coat on these. Other than that, I have some other things I need to attend to the next few days, so it'll be several days before I get back out here in the barn working on this again. But we'll see how it goes. We'll shoot some more video whenever that happens. Well, a week has passed, and I've got another rainy day here in southwest Wisconsin. So I'm back here in the barn working on the WD45. I decided that I might as well go ahead and finish up the tires and wheels on this thing. I've got the center section in one wheel. I've got that done. I've got a new pair of front tires for the tractor. Ordered those off the interwebs. I've got them here. I've got my two front wheels. This morning I cleaned them up with the wire brush and primed them, and I just put the first coat of Persian orange paint onto them, so I need to get the second coat on there and let them dry. And tomorrow I will probably mount the tires on them and then take all the tires and wheels and roll them out into the other part of the barn, cover them up, and they will be ready for me when I get ready to use them. So now I'll probably put the shop crane on this, roll it ahead a little bit so I can take the rest of the stuff off the back end that I need to get to from the back. Roll it ahead about 4 feet so I can get there. I was thinking a little bit about this tractor while I was working in here this morning. For those of you that haven't been subscribed to my channel for very long, this WD45 was bought new by my grandfather in 1957. So this tractor showed up here at the farm the same year I did. And when I purchased the farm here from my grandparents in 1976 at the ripe old age of 19, I had this tractor and I had another WD45. Those were the two tractors I had to work with at the time. The other WD45 had been a WD45 diesel. Now we had that WD45 diesel on the farm back in the late 1960s and early 1970s. I'm sure I used it some. That would have been about the time I started doing field work in my early teens, but I don't remember much about using it. I just know that the engine died in it at some point, and it's been so long ago I honestly don't remember what happened to the engine. I just remember that it died. And at that time we also had around here a styled WC Allis Chalmers. So, and I was probably 15 or 16 years old at that time. I decided to pull the diesel engine out of that WD45 and swap in the engine out of the WC. It ran pretty good and we didn't use that tractor much anyway, and of course it didn't have the power of the WD45, but it was a step up from the WC because at least we had power, we had live power, we had hydraulics, and we had foot brakes. So, anyway, yeah, when I bought the farm in 1976, I had this tractor and that former WD45 diesel that had been converted to gas. And of course, about a year after I bought the farm, I went out and purchased an Oliver 1650 diesel. And that was my big tractor. And at some point in there, the WC engine in that other WD45, the block cracked in it and it started leaking coolant down into the crankcase. And I eventually ended up just parting it out. Heck, there may even be a few parts off that tractor on this one somewhere. But anyway, like I said, I was just thinking about this WD and the other WD when I started farming here. But anyway, I'm going to put the other center in that wheel, pull this out, and finish taking it apart and move on to other things. So, until next time, everyone take care, remember to be kind, and we'll see you later.